Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today. Today's going to be our first crack at this brand new quarterly. It looks great. It's got a great theme. Seek the Lord and live, major lessons from minor prophets. And I think there's going to be a great opportunity for those of us that don't really visit this part of the Bible that often, referring to the last 12 books of the Old Testament, starting with the book of Hosea, ending with the book of Malachi. These books are referred to as the minor prophets. Now, they're referred to as the minor prophets not because they are less important or less relevant or less rich, but because they are small books in comparison to the major prophets, which are your Daniels, Ezekiels, Jeremiah, Isaiah, which are, 50 chapters, 60 chapters. The biggest book in the minor prophets is about 14 chapters, which is the book of Hosea. And the rest are about 5 chapters or less. But even though there's not a lot of words in these books, there is a lot of meaning. And these books will reveal to us the heart of God in ways that not too many other books do in the entire Bible. So I hope you come along with us as we go through this quarterly study and dig deep into the minor prophets. Now, to put everything into context, the time in which these books were written was towards the tail end of the history of the Northern Kingdom. Now, for those of you that are not too familiar with the Northern Kingdom, the nation of Israel was divided into 2 parts. The Northern Kingdom, or the Kingdom of Samaria, and the Kingdom of Judah. And all of this really started happening in the time of the reign of King Solomon. He refused the counsel of God in not marrying foreign wives, and his heart was drawn to their gods, and he allowed all sorts of idolatry and paganism to enter into Israel. And to such a degree that God saw fit to remove the kingdoms from his seed. But because of the promise he made to King David, he reserved a remnant for King Solomon's lineage, which was the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin. And this was known as the Kingdom of Judah. The other 10 tribes were handed over to a man by the name of Jeroboam, and this was known as the Northern Kingdom, or the Kingdom of Samaria. Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor, but he was a little bit too cunning for his own good. He saw that in order for him to maintain his borders secure, he saw that there was a problem that his people would be constantly making pilgrimages down to the Kingdom of Judah, because the only place that an Israelite could sacrifice was at the altar found at the temple built by Solomon in Jerusalem. There was no other place where you could celebrate Passover, that you could go and make atonement and participate on Yom Kippur. All of this Jeroboam saw as a huge problem to his national security. So he devised a new style of worship, a way to keep all of his people within his borders and not have them tempted to return to the Kingdom of Judah. And the way he did this was by erecting 2 golden calves, just like Israel did when they came out of Egypt. And he gave them all the accessories of their contemporary worship styles. He built an altar for the sacrifices to these calves. He gave them a line of priests, which were not Levites. He gave them temples. He gave them high places where they can be worshipped. He did such a thorough job that every king after him, whether good or bad, would have these calves as stumbling stones. And these calves were the real birth of the apostasy that came to consume all of the northern kingdom, and which ultimately led to their extinction. This is the context in which the minor prophets proclaim their message. And their message is one of repentance and a return to true worship. True worship to the one God, Jehovah. And this is where we find ourselves in our first lesson of this quarterly, which is called Spiritual Adultery, the book of Hosea. The memory text is found in Hosea chapter 2, verse 23, and it's read from the New International Version. Now this is a big verse, and for those of you that are memorizing with us these weekly texts, you might as well start now. It looks like a little paragraph. And it reads, I will plant her for myself in the land. I will show my love to the one I called, not my loved one. I will say to those called not my people, you are my people. And they will say, you are my God. In the book of Hosea, Hosea is calling to repentance the northern kingdom. And God wishes to help Israel to understand what is going on by asking Hosea to do something very drastic, and what might lead a lot of us to have more questions than answers. He asked Hosea to marry a woman that he knows will break his heart. A woman that winds up committing adultery against him. And he winds up suffering a lot through this relationship. But the experience of Hosea is just a living parable of God's own experience. And we'll see throughout the week how God chose to speak to Israel in a very graphic and in a very profound way through the life of the prophet Hosea. Now the book pretty much answers the question that during the time of apostasy, does God still love Israel despite the spiritual harlotry? Does he still have a purpose for them despite their sins and the coming judgment? You'll see that the answer to this question will apply not only to that time, but to our time. We've all fallen short of the glory of God. We all kind of look back in our walk with regret. But we do not need to be afraid, because the book of Hosea clearly paints out the position of God's heart. He's always willing and ready to start with us right where we're at. So I'm very excited. This is a great, like I said, a great lesson. I hope you all take advantage of this. These lessons are prepared with much prayer. These booklets, and this is something that the entire worldwide Adventist community is studying together. The Spirit of God is moving in a very special way, and I'm glad that you guys are part of it. Thank you for your time. God bless you, and have a great Sabbath.